Okay, I'm gonna mute everyone. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Today, inshallah, we'll explain page 374, chapter 26, Sourat Ashouaara. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. كذبت قوم لوط المرسلين إذ قال لهم أخوهم لوط ألا تتقون إني لكم رسول أمين فاتقوا الله وأطيعون وما أسألكم عليه من أجر إن أجري إلا على رب العالمين. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that the people of Lut denied the messengers when their brother Lut said to them, will you not have taqwa? Verily, I am a trustworthy messenger to you. So have taqwa of Allah and obey me. No reward do I ask you for calling you to Allah. My reward is only from the Lord of all that exists. So Lut and his call, the people of Lut denied the messengers when their brother Lut said to them, will you not have taqwa? Verily, I am a trustworthy messenger to you. So have taqwa of Allah and obey me. No reward do I ask of you for it, for calling you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My reward is only from the Lord of all that exists. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about his servant and messenger Lut alayhi salam. He was Lut, son of Haran, son of Azar. So he was the nephew of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So Ibrahim alayhi salam is Ibrahim, son of Azar, and his brother Haran, son of Azar. So Lut is the son of Ibrahim alayhi salam's brother Haran. So Ibrahim's brother's name is Haran. He had a son whose name is Lut, and that is the nephew of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So Allah sent Lut alayhi salam to a mighty nation during the lifetime of Ibrahim. So Lut alayhi salam was not originally from these towns of Sodom and Gomorrah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him to them. So these towns lived in Sodom in English, as is mentioned in the Bible, and its surroundings, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them and turned the area into a putrid, stinking lake, which is well known in the land of Al-Ghur. This is what we call today the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is this putrid, stinking lake. And some explainers of the Quran says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after he destroyed the town of Sodom and Gomorrah, the towns of Sodom and Gomorrah, he drowned it with that lake, which is very salty. The Dead Sea is a very, very salty water. So of course, no fish lives in it, subhanAllah. So it's a sea, but it's very salty that no fish are able to live in it. And that's why the scholars say that it's best to not swim in that Dead Sea, because since the town of Sodom and Gomorrah were, after being destroyed, they were buried under this water. Swimming in this Dead Sea comes under the heading of entering the houses of the people that destroyed without fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if you go today to some countries like Jordan, for example, many Muslims go to the Dead Sea to swim. So this is something that a person should stay away from, because again, if a person enters these destroyed towns, as the Prophet ﷺ said, whatever happened to them will happen to him. So the same way they were destroyed, Allah will end up destroying them. So here, Ibn Kathir is explaining the limits of the Dead Sea, where it is. It's the land of Al-Ghur that is called today the Jordan Valley. That's bordering the mountains of Jerusalem and Quds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring it back to the fold of Islam soon. between the mountains and the land of Al-Karak, which is in today's Jordan, and Ashobak. So in any event, these two towns of Sodom and Gomorrah were people that innovated homosexuality. They were the first ones to ever commit homosexuality, as we will see. So Lut alayhi salam called them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to worship him alone with no partner or associate, and to obey the messenger Lut, whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to them. Lut alayhi salam forbade them from disobeying Allah and committing the sin that they had invented, which was unknown on earth before their time, which is having intercourse with males instead of with females. So obviously, whatever they're looking for in a male, females have it. So their wives have it, and that's why, just to note something, for a husband to be with his wife from the rear entrance, this is something that the scholars have differed in, whether it's halal or not. After examining the evidence, I think I mentioned this before, we know that Imam Malik, for example, says it's halal. Imam al-Shafi'i says it's halal. There are ahadith that forbade that, but these ahadith, their authenticity is not agreed upon. The most authentic hadith in this matter actually is in the Bukhari, on the authority of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, who says that the verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in Surah Al-Baqarah, نِسَاءُكُمْ حَرْثٌ لَكُمْ فَأْتُوا حَرْثَكُمْ أَنَّ شِئْتُمْ, your wives are, it's like a plowing land, so you can plow your land any which way you want. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma said that this meant from the rear entrance. So now, if we say it's allowed, it doesn't mean it's mandatory. So if a person feels that that's something that's disgusting or something, it's just prerogative. But we cannot say something is haram if there is no proof that it's haram, just because someone thinks it's disgusting. Some people think that, as the Prophet ﷺ, it happened, and Khalid bin Walid was with him, he thought it was disgusting to eat big lizards. He ﷺ did not eat big lizards because he found it disgusting, as he said, ﷺ, inni a'afu. But Khalid bin Walid asked him, he said, haram? He said, it's not haram. So the Prophet ﷺ did not like it, but it's not haram. So if a person does not like it or finds it disgusting, it doesn't mean that just because his desire tells him, or his idea, his opinion says it's disgusting, then it has to be haram. In any event, so here, and this is why some of the major scholars like Imam Ibn al-Arabi, rahimahullah, took this as proof that it's allowed for a man to have intercourse with his wife from the back entrance, because Lut alayhi salam told his people, why do you do that with men when you can do that with your wives? So of course, some scholars said no, what Lut alayhi salam meant that, instead of having intercourse with males from the back, having intercourse with your female from the front. This logically would not make sense, because it would be comparing apples to oranges. So he's telling them, leave apples and eat oranges. So Ibn Arabi, rahimahullah, says that this is proof that Lut alayhi salam was telling the people, instead of having intercourse with men from the back, have it with your own female wives from the back. It's the same thing, right? It's just that one is from men and one from women. So if someone says that, oh, actually now, if you start, because some scholars said it's the minor Lut, they're called Lutiyya Sughra. So we asked them, okay, so does that mean that if you have intercourse with your wife, for example, when she has her menstrual period, as the Prophet ﷺ used to have intercourse with Aisha when she had menstrual period without using the front entrance because it has blood. So, let's say if a man, this is actually an argument that Imam Shafi'i made. So let's say if a man has intercourse with his wife from her legs. Now, of course, you can have intercourse with a man from his legs too. So does that mean just because he has intercourse with his wife using her legs, and he can do that with men, that means that, if he does it with his wife, he's going to do it with men? No, it doesn't. It's, it's not necessarily, right? So 1 + 1 doesn't equal 3. So basically, in examining the proofs, I felt that the proof that it's allowed is stronger because, as we said, the authentic hadith in Bukhari says that it is allowed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade intercourse with a woman when she has a menstrual period. And he did not forbid this other method of having intercourse with your wife just because it's not haram, right? And also, the hadith, the scholars that say it's haram, many scholars say that they are fabricated hadith. So in any event, this is the opinion that I ascribe to. And again, halal doesn't mean you have to do it. If it's something you don't want to, you don't feel like it, no one is forcing you to. But we cannot just, basically, the point I'm trying to make here is we cannot say something is haram just because our desire or our opinion or our mind tells us it should be haram or it's disgusting. Because halal haram is the matter that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides. And as we know, Imam Malik is one of the major scholars, Imam Shafi'i, one of the major scholars. And these scholars, they thought it was halal. But Imam Bukhari, too, thought that it was halal. This is why he put this hadith in his Sahih al-Bukhari. So, if you feel that it's, the opposing opinion of Imam Ahmad, Imam Abu Hanifa is more correct, then it's your prerogative. You can adhere to it. So next, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that Lut alayhi salam told his people, أَتَأْتُونَ الذُّكْرَانَ مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ وَتَذَرُونَ مَا خَلَقَ لَكُمْ رَبُّكُم مِّنْ أَزْوَاجِكُمْ بَلْ أَنْتُمْ قَوْمٌ عَادُونَ. So Lut alayhi salam told his people, do you go into the males of al-alamin? That means not only your tribe, but anyone that's even passing by the road. They take him and then, they have sexual intercourse with him. And you leave those whom Allah has created for you to be your wives. Here, Ibn al-Arabi says that this is what he meant. He meant if you must have intercourse from the back, then have it with your wives. This is Imam al-Arabi al-Maliki. He was on the Maliki madhab. And now you are trespassing people. So you're trespassing. You're leaving that which is halal to that which is haram. قالوا لئن لم تنته يا لوط لتكونن من المخرجين. They said, if he sees not, O Lut, that means if you don't seize or the rest to stop doing this evil act, verily you will be one of those who are driven out. And this is exactly what the kuffar are doing today through their laws. Basically, they are imposing on people to accept homosexuality. And if you insult homosexuals because they are evil and they deserve to be killed by stoning and actually to be thrown from a high level place, as is mentioned in the Torah and the Bible and the Quran, these followers of Satan, they tell you that if you say that, then it's hate speech and you're going to go to jail. So if the kuffar of today, they say, if he sees not, or you people who are against homosexuality, verily you will be one of those who are driven out or jailed. And obviously, like in Sweden, they are making admitting homosexuality a part and a prerequisite to obtaining the citizenship. So basically, they're starting to tell Muslims, you have to become a disbeliever if you need to become a citizen of Sweden. This is one of the countries, and I think there are similar laws in other countries, like, if I'm not mistaken, Switzerland, Belgium, etc. So basically, those people that invented homosexuality told Lut alayhi salam, if he sees not from stopping us from doing this evil, verily will be one of those who are driven out. And their progeny from the kuffar of today are doing the same thing. So Lut alayhi salam said, قَالَ إِنِّي لِعَمَلِكُم مِّنَ الْقَالِينَ. He said, I am indeed of those who disapprove with severe anger and fury your behavior. Of course, it's haram. You're going to tell me that you want me to sell my religion because you want me to sell my religion so that I can get your citizenship? May you go to hell, you and your citizenship. So Lut alayhi salam said, رَبِّ نَجِّنِي وَأَهْلِي مِمَّا يَعْمَلُونَ. My Lord, save me and my family from what they do. فَنَجَّيْنَاهُ وَأَهْلَهُ أَجْمَعِينَ. So we saved him and his family, all of them. إِلَّا عَجُوزًا فِي الْغَابِرِينَ. Except an old woman among those who remained behind. ثُمَّ دَمَّرْنَا الْآخَرِينَ. Then afterwards we destroyed the other evildoers. وأمطرنا عليهم مطرا فساء مطر المنذرين, and rain on them the rain of stones, and how evil was the rain of those who had been warned. إن في ذلك لآية وما كان أكثرهم مؤمنين وإن ربك لهو العزيز الرحيم. Verily in this is indeed a sign, yet most of them are not believers. And verily your Lord, He is indeed the Almighty, the most merciful. Love's denunciation of His people's deeds, their response and their punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the Prophet Lut alayhi salam told his people, do you go into the males of al-alameen and leave those whom Allah has created for you to be wives? You are trespassing people. The Prophet of Allah forbade them from committing evil deeds and intercourse with males, and he told them that they should have intercourse with their wives. Again, so comparing apples to apples, the same interest that you're doing with male, we females have it. So go to your wives, whom Allah created for you, so that you can get your pleasure in a halal way. So their response was only that they said, قالوا لئن لم تنته يا لوط لتكونن من المخرجين. They said, if he is not a Lut, meaning if you do not give up what you have brought, verily one of those who are driven out of our town. We will expel you from among us, because he was not from them. He was from the people of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So just like as we said, the kuffar they do today, they tell people, oh, if you don't accept homosexuality, we're gonna take away the residence from you and kick you out, or take the citizenship or whatever. They go to hell, them and their citizenships. We will expel you from among us. This is like the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us how was the answer of Lut's people. فَمَا كَانَ جَوَابَ قَوْمِهِ إِلَّا أَنْ قَالُوا أَخْرِجُوا آلَ لُوطٍ مِنْ قَرْيَتِكُمْ إِنَّهُمْ أُنَاسٌ يَتَطَهَّرُونَ. There was no other answer given by his people except that they say, drive out the family of Lut from your city. Verily, these are men who want to be clean and pure. So at least the people of Lut that invented this evil act, homosexuality, knew that their homosexuality was unclean and impure. And this in contrast to the people of Lut of today, who think that it's a right that they have and that Allah created them like that. May Allah curse them for their lies. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not create them as homosexuals and throw them into the fire because of that evil deed. They followed the footsteps of shaitan. Many of them were the victims of homosexuality as kids, especially through their priests, and that as the scholars said, their priests forbade themselves something that Allah made halal for them, which is marriage with women. So because they forbade marriage with women, they started abusing kids, and that's why we hear it, all over the world. Not one country. It's actually all the Catholics, even people that were close to the Pope, committed this homosexuality, because in their minds it's not haram. In their minds it's not haram, because they said we forbade ourselves from women, but we did not forbid ourselves from boys. So they raped boys, and many of these grew up to become homosexuals. And then finally the church accepted homosexuality, even though in their Bibles it says that the people that commit this evil act need to be thrown from a high place and stoned to death, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished the people of Lut. So people of Lut had more brains than the current homosexuals, because the people of Lut knew what they were doing was unclean and impure. The current people of Lut, the current people that do the deeds of the people of Lut, the current homosexuals, think that what they're doing is normal and pure. So when Lut alayhi salam saw that they would not give up their ways and that they were persistent in their misguidance, he declared his innocence of them. He said, I am indeed of those who disprove with severe anger and fury, because condoning their act, meaning that you will share with them in the sin. And this is the danger that the Muslims that live in the Kafir land risk falling into, because the kuffar laws now, they are forcing Muslims to accept this. So if you accept it with your mouth, you have accepted it with your heart, and therefore you will be sinning just like the ones who are doing it. And it's an act of disbelief, because Allah says it's haram, and you're saying it's normal, or they can do. I don't care. It's their own business. No, if you see a munkar, an evil thing, then you have to disprove of it. He said, I am indeed of those who disprove with severe anger and fury. I am of those who are outraged. I do not like it. I do not accept it. And I have nothing to do with you. Then he prayed to Allah against them and said, Rabbina jini wa ahli mimma ya'malun. My Lord, save me and my family from what they do. Allah says, فَنَجَّيْنَاهُ وَأَهْلَهُ أَجْمَعِينَ إِلَّا جُوزًا فِي الْغَابِرِينَ. So we saved him and his family, all of them, except all the women among those who remained behind. This was his wife, who was a bad old woman. She stayed behind and was destroyed with whomever else was left. She used to go to her people and tell them that Lut alayhi salam had guests, and she betrayed her husband in not following his ways and not following his guidance, and teamed up with her own people against him. Also, his son was a disbeliever. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, we will save you and your family except your wife. Lut alayhi salam thought that his son was included in the family that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him he will save. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, your son is not your family because he's a disbeliever. So believers are brothers and helpers of one another. They are a family of one another. But the disbelievers, even if they are tied by blood to a believer, then he is not from his family. He needs to treat him according to the ties of kinship, but not to love him or to take him as a protector. This is similar to what Allah says about them in Surah Al-A'raf and Surah Hud and in Surah Al-Hijr, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded Lut alayhi salam to take his family at night, except for his wife, and not to turn around. They all went out at night, but then when his wife heard the loud cry and the punishment that befell her people, she turned around, and when she turned, she disobeyed the command that was given to them. She couldn't leave her people and her home, so she went back to her home and was destroyed with her people. So she was told to not turn around when they heard the sayha. Sayha is a loud scream by Jibril alayhi salam, and that sayha took away their lives. So many punishments were given to these people. Then after that, Jibril alayhi salam picked up the whole town with the tip of his wing, so high up to the point that the angels heard the barking of the dogs of the town, and then he flipped it upside down. So they patiently obeyed the command of Allah and persevered, and Allah sent upon the people of Lut a punishment which struck them all and laid upon them stones of baked clay piled up. So 3 punishments. Their souls were taken away with the scream, and then they were lifted so high up and then struck on the ground upside down, and then stoned were rained on them. So this is the punishment of the people of Lut. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ثُمَّ دَمَّرْنَا الْآخَرِينَ فَأَمْطَرْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ مَطَرًا فَسَاءَ مَطَرُ الْمُنذَرِينَ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً وَمَا كَانَ أَكْثَرُهُم مُؤْمِنِينَ وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الرَّحِيمُ. Then afterwards, we destroyed the others, and we rained on them a rain. And now evil was the rain of those who had been warned. Verily, and this is indeed a sign, yet most of them are not believers. And verily, your Lord, He is indeed the Almighty, the most merciful. Thanks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to us about the people of Shu'aib, where he says, كذب أصحاب الأيكة المرسلين إذ قال لهم شعيب ألا تتقون إني لكم رسول أمين فاتقوا الله وأطيعون وما أسألكم عليه من أجر إن أجري إلا على رب العالمين. The companions of Al-Aika denied the messengers. As we said, when the people deny one single messenger, it's as if they deny all the messengers. When Shu'aib said to them, will you not have taqwa? I am a trustworthy messenger to you. So have taqwa of Allah and obey me. No reward do I ask of you for it. My reward is only from the Lord of Al-Alameen. Shu'aib and his preaching to the dwellers of Al-Aika. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كذب أصحاب الأيكة المرسلين إذ قال لهم شعيب ألا تتقون إني لكم رسول أمين فاتقوا الله وأطيعون وما أسألكم عليه من أجر إن أجري إلا على رب العالمين. Companions of Al-Aika denied the messengers. When Shu'aib said to them, will you not have taqwa? I am a trustworthy messenger to you. So have taqwa of Allah and obey me. No reward do I ask of you for it. My reward is only from the Lord of Al-Alameen. The companions of Al-Aika were the people of Madian in the northwest of today's Saudi Arabia, according to the most correct view. The Prophet of Allah Shu'aib was one of them, but does not say here their brother Shu'aib. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he says, yeah, the Prophet said their brother. But Shu'aib, alayhi salam, when Allah mentioned him, he did not say their brother. Why? Because they are the people of the tree. There are people who worship the tree. And he, Shu'aib, alayhi salam, did not worship a tree. So he was not their brother in that regard. So here Ibn Kathir says the Prophet of Allah Shu'aib was one of them, but it does not say here their brother Shu'aib, because they called themselves by a name denoting their deification of Al-Aika, which was a tree which they used to worship. So they used to worship a tree, so they were people of that worship tree, and of course Shu'aib alayhi salam was not worshiping the tree, so he was not their brother in that regard. It was said there was a group of trees which were tangled. So, a group of trees, subhanAllah, that grew in an odd way, and they were tangled and formed a weird shape, and all of a sudden people worshipped it. For this reason, Allah said the companions of Al-Aika denied the messengers. He did not say when their brother Shu'aib said to them. Rather, he said when Shu'aib said to them. He is not described as belonging to them because of the meaning that was inherent, the name given to them, that they worshipped someone besides Allah, even though he was their brother by blood. As we said before, the brotherhood of blood ends with the disbelief. Some people did not notice this point, so they thought that the dwellers of Al-Aika were different from the people of Madian, and claimed that Shu'aib was sent to 2 nations. Some said that he was sent to 3. But the correct opinion is that it was just one people. They were the people of Shu'aib. This is the view of Ishaq bin Bishr. Someone besides Juwaybir said the dwellers of Al-Aika and the people of Madian are one and the same. Allah knows best. Well, there's another opinion that they were different nations with 2 identities. The correct view is that they were one nation, but they are described differently in different places. Shu'aib preached to them and commanded them to be fair in their weights and measures, the same as is mentioned in the story of Madian, which also indicates that they were the same nation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about them, أوفوا الكيل ولا تكونوا من المخسرين وزنوا بالقسطاس المستقيم. Give full measure and cause no loss to others when you sell, and weigh to them, and weigh with the true and straight balance. And defraud not people by reducing their things, nor do evil, making corruption and mischief in the land, because they used to rob people who were traveling through their town. وَاتَّقُوا الَّذِي خَلَقَكُمْ وَالْجِبِلَّةَ الْأَوَّلِينَ. And have taqwa of him who created you in the generations of the men of old. The command to give full measure. Allah commanded them to give full measure and forbade them to give short measure. He said, أوفوا الكيل ولا تكونوا من المخسرين. Give full, give full measure and cause no loss. Meaning, when you give to people, give them full measure and do not cause loss to them by giving them short measure while taking full measure when you are the ones who are taking. Just like where Allah says in Surah Al-Mutaffifin, إذا اكتالوا على الناس يستوفون وإذا كالوهم أو وزنوهم يخسرون. So when they sell to people, they give them less than the weight that the people bought, and then when they buy from people, they ask for more weight than the one that they actually paid for. وَزِنُوا بِالْقِسْطَاسِ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ, and weigh with the true and straight balance. The balance of the scales is when you sell, you give people their due right. وَلَا تَبْخَسُوا النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ وَلَا تَعْثَوْا فِي الْأَرْضِ مُفْسِدِينَ. And defraud not people by reducing their things, meaning do not shortchange them, give them less than what they paid for, and nor should you do evil, making corruption, mischief in the land, meaning by engaging in banditry. As we said, they used to rob people at with weapons, people that were travelers, so they were bandits. And this is the meaning of Surah of the ayah in Surah Al-A'raf. وَلَا تَقْعُدُوا بِكُلِّ صِرَاطٍ تُوعِدُونَ, and sit not on every road threatening people who are passing. Here Allah subhanahu tells them, وَاتَّقُوا الَّذِي خَلَقَكُمْ وَالْجِبِلَّةَ الْأَوَّلِينَ, and have taqwa of him who created you and the generations of them of old, of the men of old, because Allah subhanahu created all of the creatures. Here he is frightening them with the punishment of Allah who created them and created their forefathers. This is like when Musa alayhi salam told Fir'aun, his people, رَبُّكُمْ وَرَبُّ آبَائِكُمُ الْأَوَّلِينَ, the one who created you, the Lord and the Lord of your ancient fathers. Ibn Abbas, Mujahid al-Suddi, Sufyan bin Uyayna, and Abdul Rahman bin Zayd bin Aslam said, وَالْجِبِلَّةَ الْأَوَّلِينَ means the generations of the men of old, meaning he created the early generations, and he created the early generation. In other words, the same way the early generations perished, you shall perish as well. And also in Surah Yasin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ أَضَلَّ مِنْكُمْ جِبِلًّا كَثِيرًا, and indeed he, Shaitan, did lead astray a great multitude of you, of mankind. So we stop here today. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach us the beneficial knowledge. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save us from all trials and tribulations. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give victory to our brothers, the Mujahideen in Palestine, and to make their feet stand firm. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to destroy their enemy. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to destroy the Jews and the Christians and the hypocrites who are helping them. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to destroy them all. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to liberate the blessed land of Palestine from the filth of the Jews, and for Allah to bring back the Khilafah to the blessed land of Palestine as He alayhi salam foretold us. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the best day of our existence the day that we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to gather us, Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam, in the highest paradise of Firdaus. Akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.